So I will just explain to you about the reflection of my lesson today. Okay, the topic that I was sharing today with my student is about email, how to write an email. Okay, before I start my presentation to my student, I have checked the email and then I try to use the simple word that might help them in understanding the email, how to write the email correctly. Okay, before I start the explanation to my student, I ask them whether they have used the email before or they haven't used the email before, and then some of them are very familiar with the email and some of them are not familiar with the email, because when I ask them the format of the email, the student that is not familiar with the email don't even know what is the email actually, and then the student that familiar with the email, they know how to write the email and then they know how the format of the email, and then I give them time to relax before I start the lesson. Okay, and then I start the lesson by introducing to them about the email, the structure of the email, and then how do email look like in the website, and then when they look at the email they can identify this is the format of the email. Okay, in front up on the top of the email they have the email address and then subject and so on, and then when they want to write the emails, they need to understand the email address. They have to have an email so that they can use the email to send the email. If they don't have the email, they cannot write the email. So when I explain the emails to them, they say some of them they don't even know that they have an email address. When I say if you have the Lima email, then that is your email. Then when I say the Lima email, or the student have the Lima email, then they notice that they have the email. Okay, and then I introduce to them the way how to write the email. I show to them the example on the slide. I give them 5 minutes to understand and to look at the email, how the format, what is the format of the email, and then how to read the email, because some of them are not very familiar with the email. So I show to them the email, what is the exactly the email. I explain one by one. After I explain about the email, then I ask them to listen to my presentation. I start with the introduction, how to write the email, the introduction of the email. So I show to them how to write the introduction. They can actually look at the slide, and then at the same time I just explain to them the email. When we want to write the email, we need to write the introduction. The introduction of the email, I say you can write the email using hello, hi, how are you, dear my beloved friend. So this is the example of introduction of the email. And then when they want to start the first sentence, they can use I am writing this email because of this is the very simple words that they can use to write the email. And then when they just look at the way I explain to them, and I assume that they can understand, then I continue to explain the email. I explain to them, this is the way we write the email. I am writing this email because I want to tell you about my vacation, and then I want to share about the interesting place. I want to share about anything you can do. So this is the introduction of the email, and then after I introduce and I expose them with the introduction, then straight away I ask them to write short note about the introduction of the email. I give them about 10 minutes for them to write the introduction of their email, and then I show the example of the email, and then they can just look at the email in front of them, and then they just copy the email. This is what I want they to read when they just look at the sample of the email, and then at the same time they read and then they write. So here when they read the email they can understand, and then when they write the email they can remember. This is how I try to make my student to understand the email, and then they can remember the way how to write the email. And then when I continue to explain the second paragraph of the email, I just use very simple sentence where I just mention about the content of the email. Content of the email, let's say for example for the lesson today, I just ask them to write email to tell about the vacation to their friend. Okay, and then I explain in the first paragraph or introduction or introductory paragraph, they just write about I am writing this, the purpose of writing the email, and then after that I ask them to continue the second paragraph. The second paragraph, what they need to do is they have to explain to their friend what things that they want to share, because the first paragraph they want to share about their vacation with family, and then next paragraph they need to mention about where they go, and then what the activity that they do with their family. So for the second paragraph, I asked them to write, I was going to this place with my family, and then we visit this place and this place and this place. We are doing the activity like swimming, and then having dinner with family, and then play with friends. So this is the second paragraph of the email. Then I show to them about the email, the sample, and then they just read, and also I ask them to write in their book. And then this is the way to make them very comfortable to write the email. When they look at the sample and then they write, and then they can remember. Okay, when I continue to explain the closing paragraph, and then I do the same thing, I repeat the same thing, I show the example, I ask them to write, and then the process of writing the email takes about 30 minutes in explaining, and also ask them to write. And when they finish writing, then I continue to give the first exercise where I want they to write the new email telling about their vacation to the other place. So what they need to do after that is they just write the second email. How to write, I just explained to them. They just need to follow the exactly the email that they write earlier, and then I just change the place, the activity, the activity that they do is the same. They just use they just change the place. Okay, and then so based on my observation, I can see that they can write the email, and then I just ask them to form group of 4, and then they sit in the group. I give them a mahjong paper each group, and then I ask them to write another email because I want they to discuss about the email. I give them another question, and then that question I just change the place, and then I just add a few activity that they need to include in their new email, and then I want them to discuss with their friends. So what happened is when they discuss with their friend, it's kind of, they get a lot of idea instead of they just do it alone. Then when they discuss with their friend, they get new ideas. So I can see that they can write very long sentence because they discuss with their friend. Okay, so here the strength of my lessons, I can see that when I ask them to do discussion and then to write email, and then they can do it with the help of their friend. If they do it alone, they might not be able to write even a sentence for certain student. And then for certain students that are very good, they can write the email by by himself. However, for peoples that cannot write the email, when they discuss, they can write because their friend can actually help them. Alright, so from the lesson I can see some of the students able to write and some of the students are not able to write the email. However, when I put them in the group, they can discuss and then they can produce email. And then besides that, I can see that there are witness in my lesson where when I give them too many questions, some of them cannot write email more than one because they think it's too hard for them to think about the email. So I can see that for next lesson I have to reduce one email because for today's lesson I have discussed 2 email, and then it's kind of really difficult for them to digest the information and then to apply the information. Okay, overall I can say that my lesson is, you know good, and then the student able to cope with the lesson. However, I need to improve in terms of reducing the email, and also I need to give them the new vocab that they can use in writing the email, because I can see some of them are not having enough vocab to write the email because they don't actually use the language. If they using English at the home, they might be able to write the email, but for certain students that are not practicing English at their home, they cannot write the email. They just write whatever I write in the slide because they think that the sample is just like what I write. They just copy. So that is my reflection of writing the email. Thank you.